So it's been a while since I've done a midweek crafting session with you guys, and I thought let's do it tonight. I've got the time today. So it is Wednesday and I am going to get creative with you today so we can have a bit of midweek crafting. I got some new dies in my collection from Paper Rose. For those of you who aren't aware, I do design with Paper Rose, so I am on their design team creating projects for them. And so I picked out some new items that I wanted in my stash from their shop, and I really wanted to get using them. So I thought this will be a great way to use up our scraps and hopefully use up whatever dies you've got in your collection. So we are going to use detailed dies today. So anything that has got like a small intricate detailed pattern, or even like these are layering dies, or like a chunky kind of die like this that's got big kind of cutouts. I got like this little wheel one. I'm going to use just the inside. And then I've got these flowers, and I think these are really old. I don't know if they're still available anywhere other than Paper Rose, but they are these really cute funky flowers. So they look like that when you die cut them out. And I wanted to do kind of a collage. So I've got a lot of scraps in my papers from Paper Rose. And some of these I have purchased and some of them I have got as a design team member. But I have invested a lot of my own money into Paper Rose as well, because I really do love this company and their papers. They are so nice. So I love working with them. I'm using them all the time, even though I'm on their design team, but I use these things all the time. But look, I've got all these scraps. I keep every scrap because I love them so much. But I thought let's use up some of these scraps and do some cards today and just kind of repurpose them. So the nice thing I like about Paper Rose, and I know a lot of companies do this as well, so whatever you've got in your stash, like honestly just go look through your stash of what you've got in scraps. But one of the things I love is that they do sort of kind of like color collections. So they have like a whole selection of rainbow. So I've got Rainbow Twirl 2.0, Rainbow Garden Basics, and then this one isn't rainbow named, but it's called Inky Color, but it's very rainbow-like, and they tend to kind of use the same sort of colors. So I know that between all these, the scraps from all these will all kind of coordinate together. So I pulled them out. So like obviously this isn't as bright, but the other side is a bit more bright. So I've got all these scraps and I want to make some fun kind of paper collages and then use my dies to die cut them out and then create a pretty card that way. So let me clear some space and then we are going to crack on. So like I said before, make sure you're using up your scraps, whatever is in your stash in your collection, and any kind of intricate dies are going to be brilliant for this. So I'm going to go through and just pick out the ones that I like the colors of. I want quite solid ones. I don't want ones with loads of white in. So I'm going to pick out all the bits that are quite solid and just kind of pop them to the side. Now I want to make sure I don't use any of my nice big chunks if I've got plenty of smaller ones, because this is ideal for really small scraps that you would put in the bin. Now I'm not joking, I also have this container here. And in here I've got all my strip scraps that I've saved from all my projects as well, and these will be really good to use up also. So I keep everything. I keep all my scraps from the papers that I absolutely love, so I don't toss them away, and this just lives on my desk. And I've got little strips in here that I attached, like I took some foil card and I took some black cardstock and then I attached some double-sided sticky tape and then trimmed little slices. So I've got like coordinating foil in here as well. So these are also good to use. You can chop these up as well in your projects. Okay, so this might seem a little controversial, but we are literally going to chop it up. So I'm thinking like a picture collage in my head, and so I'm just going to do loads of random cuts. You could go as big or as small as you like. I might be making a fatal error going this small. I might be hating it in a minute, but I'm going to just do some snips. I'm literally just going to be really messy about it and just going to snip off bits of paper. And actually I think I'm going to go bigger. I want bigger snips because otherwise this is going to be taking me forever to kind of put together. Right, so I'm going to change direction a little bit. Going to go for bigger chunks of paper. This is great if you've got any of these already floating around from a project you've made. You've already got chunks in places just use them. So once you've got a really good collection of what looks like a hot mess, we can then move on to adhering them down. So I've got an old scrap bit of paper that was from some printing that didn't work. The next thing we're gonna need is some double-sided tape. If you've got double-sided adhesive sheets, those work. Or I've got this roll from scrapbookdotcom. This is the 6-inch one. So I'm gonna use some of this because it's just double-sided tape on a big roll. This stuff has been lasting me ages. Definitely a worthwhile purchase. It has really been useful in my craft room. So I'm gonna just stick a bit of that down on here. And now we're just going to start sticking them down. And don't panic. I've got a really awesome way to kind of cover up the middle bits that we are not going to have sticky. So I'm going to peel off some of the release paper, but not all of it. I'm just going to peel off a corner. Otherwise, I'll probably find it gets too sticky. And I'm just going to start sticking down pieces. There does not need to be any amazingness to this. The only thing to bear in mind is not to go over top. Don't overlap your little pieces. So we're just going to stick them down any which way. You do not need to overthink this. It's literally just kind of slapdashing it down because we don't want to take ages. This is really boring if you're going to just be sticking paper down. Don't worry if you go off over the edge. We can trim that up. But we're just going to stick pieces down and start filling in this sticky paper. When you get to filling in most of your gap, just kind of move your release paper down a bit more so you have more area to work in, and just keep placing these pieces down. Okay, so I've stuck them all down. That only took about 5 minutes in total. Doesn't actually look as hot mess as I thought, and it does have that kind of fun patchwork feel to it. And if you have watched me for a long time, I have done a video similar to this before with this kind of technique, but it's such a good one to do for using up those scrap bits. So I'm going to take a scrap bit of paper, just going to fold it in half. This is going to be kind of my dump it back in. Now there are a lot of glitters out there that are eco-friendly glitters that are biodegradable, and I do have some of those, but I also have this that I want to use up, and it's massive. This is iridescent glitter, so it is a see-through kind of clear glitter. So you could use this easily on colored cardstock or colored paper. If you do a background with colored paper, you could use this stuff and you'll still see that color kind of through it. I like this just because it's a really, really, really glittery, almost holographic as well. So I'm going to use this. Any glitter will work, but that's how we're going to fill in all these gaps and make it so it's not sticky. I've also found this stuff in my stash, which I got ages ago from Arteza, and it's holographic, kind of chunky glitter. So I wanted to have a go seeing how much of this would stick in my gaps, because my gaps are quite large. So I want to put a bit of this down first and then fill the rest of it in with this glitter, which is a really, really fine glitter, to cover those gaps up. So that's what I'm going to do. First thing I want to do is put this back on top. Don't throw this away, by the way. Keep this release paper, it's really handy. And then I'm going to take a bone folder and just kind of burnish it down and make sure that those pieces are really nice and stuck, because if we get any glitter underneath those pieces, then they're not going to stick. So make sure that you have got your little bits of scrap really stuck down well. Okay, so now I'm going to just sprinkle. I might just tilt this and sprinkle it on so that it kind of runs down, because I don't want to fill all the gaps with this stuff. I just want it to kind of be semi highlighting some of those gaps. Okay, so I've got some of that in there, some of those big shapes. I didn't realize there's quite a lot of fine glitter in this as well, but I think it'll still look really pretty. Right, so now that I've got that first one on, I'm going to take the release paper again. I'm going to put that back over the top and just kind of push this down, because now I don't want to cross-contaminate my glitter when I pour the other glitter back into the jar. I don't want that first glitter to go in here because I'm obviously using two different ones. So I'm just going to kind of, you can see how much is coming off just by me rubbing my hand over it, but I'm just getting all the loose chunks of glitter, making sure that I'm not going to cross-contaminate my glitter. So now I'm going to come in with this one. And this one here, I'm going to sprinkle down everywhere. And we just want to get all those gaps filled in. And you can use your bone folder, your fingers. It does get very, very staticky everywhere. The reason I like to use my finger is that the paper is thicker than obviously the base. And so the glitter I'm pushing down in between all of the bits of paper. So I'm kind of filling in those gaps. I'm giving it a firm rub, and I don't want to miss any points. So I find like using my finger can make this much easier and more efficient. But you can feel it already. There's no stick because all this glitter is sticking to that adhesive really, really, really well. Now because it's staticky, it's sticking a bit to my cardstock. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just going to take a paintbrush and just kind of dust it off. So despite all that, I still managed to cross-contaminate. So I'm going to pour this into a different container just to keep it separate so I don't end up with big chunks in here. And I put cream on right before filming, which is probably a bit silly, so it's all stuck to my hand, cream on my hand. So I will be very careful to use a wipe and not put that down my bathroom sink just to keep this stuff out of the environment. So this in itself would make a gorgeous background for a card, just like a big bold sentiment on there, maybe in holographic cardstock, like happy birthday would look amazing. So you don't need to do much more with this, but I really wanted to die cut it out. I want to use some of these. So let's do that and see what it looks like. I'm just using some low tack tape to make sure that these dies don't end up slipping in my machine and then running over top of each other, because I want to get as much on here as I possibly can. Okay, so I managed to get quite a few on here. I added a couple extra dies on, and I'm going to just run this through my Big Shot and die cut it all out. So one of the things I forgot was to trim all the edges before I ran it through the Big Shot. So once I stuck it on the Big Shot platform, I just kind of quickly trimmed off all the bits that were sticking over the edge, because obviously in a standard size Big Shot it wouldn't fit in. But let's see what we've got. I'm really excited about this. Right, let's get this tape off. So you can see I've got the copy paper underneath, it all cut through nicely. If you use regular cardstock, you're going to struggle to cut it in your die cut machine because it will make the paper quite thick. So you do want to make sure you're using just printer paper for underneath as your base. So I did a couple solid flowers because I do love the background. So here's one of them. Look how gorgeous. It's just cute. I love it. And then here's the backing. That one. There's that one. Okay, so that worked and didn't work. So it worked great on the ones that had nice big open die cut areas. Worked brilliantly on that. But on the one that was more intricate, like this one, which had really, really small ones, I felt like the pressure wasn't good enough to have cut all the way through. Maybe I just needed to run this one on its own through the die cut machine and not with all the other dies to get a better impression, but I really, really, really struggled to get any of these out, so I'm giving up on this one. But then like the little tree, that just popped out beautifully. And that's exactly the effect I wanted. I wanted to have this cool kind of patchwork mosaic feel, and I feel like that worked out really well with these. These ones I really struggled to get out as well. They are really quite stuck, and that was the more detailed one, which kind of bummed me out. But then the other detailed one popped out easily. Like that one is like really easy. So some worked, some didn't. But I think if I ran them through individually, I might have had a better result. I could run them through again, but I'm not very good at lining them up really well exactly where they were, and I tend to end up with a bit of a mess. So some worked, some didn't. I love that though. I think that's gorgeous. And then I cut out a few in black already because I thought this would be cool. I kept all of these little inserts because I thought these would be cool. I have to figure out where they go now. If I pop those back in and do a card with these petals back in there, I thought that would be really, really gorgeous. And just have like a sunflower with the petals, all patchworky mosaic like as well. And then I got the black one for the base because obviously some of the top ones didn't work as well. But I just thought that would look really cute, or I could go ahead and do that with some holographic paper maybe over the top, or just leave it like that because that looks quite cute. And then here's the backing, and I thought if I did it in black it would just really probably pop off the page a bit more. So I think that looks super cute as a little flower. So I'm going to turn some of these into a card or two just to give you an idea of what you can do with something cute like this. So I went ahead and completed my cards, and I really, really love them. I did 3 in the end because I got really carried away, but I'll share with you. This is probably the most simple one. I really loved the design that the sunflower came out with, and so I stamped this "Thank You Kindly" stamp from a Gina K stamp set that was already curved. You could curve the stamp yourself if you wanted, but I kept that one dead simple. And then this one here, I die cut inlaid the pieces from the previous one back in, and then I die cut out and stamped "Happy Birthday" and layered it a few times, and then I added some of these little holeless sequins that are holographic all along the sort of edge, and I love how that one turned out as well. I also corner rounded these cards. I think I did all of them actually. I corner rounded all of them just to give them a nice rounded effect. And then this is the last one. I used that fun die from Paper Rose, which just does frames, so it cuts all those frames out, and I stacked those up 3 times, and then I stacked the word "sending" 4 times, and then I did a speedy recovery, added some more of those little kind of gem things in there, and that's how I finished off that one. So I hope this was fun for you. I hope it gave you some inspiration on what you can do with those little scraps, the little fiddly scraps. Just chopping them up randomly, adding some glitter in the middle, you can get such a fun, beautiful effect to your card making. And I think this one is definitely my favorite one out of all of them. So I hope you guys give this a go. Take care, and I'll see you on Saturday. Bye.